going to call the meeting to order. This is the October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Virgenes-Malibu Council of Governments Governing Board. Will the Executive Director please call the roll?
Aniko Gold.
Here.
Marianne Riggins. Alicia Weintraub.
Here.
Ray Pearl.
Here.
President Sylvester.
Here. Thank you. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to revise the agenda? If not, is there a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Will the Executive Director call the roll?
Aniko Gold.
Aye.
Marianne Riggins. Alicia Weintraub.
Aye.
Ray Pearl.
Aye.
President Sylvester.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the governing board? Oh, good. Welcome, Marianne.
Good morning.
Good morning. Terry, have you received any public comments?
I have not.
Since we have no public comments, we'll go to item number 4, the consent calendar. Consent calendar items will be approved in one motion unless removed for separate discussion or action. Would anyone like to remove any item from the consent calendar? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. Will the Executive Director call the roll?
Aniko Gold.
Aye.
Marianne Riggins.
Yes.
Alicia Weintraub.
Yes.
Ray Pearl.
Aye.
President Sylvester.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Well, it's now my pleasure to introduce somebody that doesn't really need introducing. Welcome to our Assembly Member, Jackie Owen. The floor is yours. Well, the screen is yours, I should say.
Thank you so much, Penny, and it's so great to see all of you. You know, it is nice not to have to get dressed to leave, but of course, we would always prefer in-person meetings. So I am going to go over a little bit of what happened in the state legislature and what we've been doing in the DO. But for me, it's always what I enjoy most and hopefully is most helpful is your questions. So we will make sure to leave some time for that. So we just wrapped up my 11th year in the state legislature. And so this is my last year that I will be serving this area in the Assembly, and it's been quite an honor, and I think we've gotten a lot of things done for this area. I would be remiss not to first address the unimaginable strife that the communities of the 42nd District have faced between and when we say that right now we're not in fire season, so I think we sort of forget the trauma we went through, starting I think last November and December, Palisades fire, Franklin fire, the Mountain fire. And with those fires, thousands of our neighbors in Malibu, Pacific Palisades, Topanga, and Camarillo have had their lives uprooted by displacement and loss. And, as we all remember, back in 2018, we suffered through Woolsey that impacted both LA and Ventura fire. And Malibu has really been the center of a lot of it. They're still working on rebuilding from the Woolsey fire. In the Palisades fire, 12 Palisadians lost their lives and over 5,000 homes were destroyed. And obviously, the Palisades fire affected a lot of our communities on this side also. Since January 7th, our office has been dedicated to helping the survivors through the road to recovery. We've sat and talked with survivors since the evacuations had started. A lot of residents have no idea at that time, had no idea how to even move forward. Our team had very long days as we staffed the evacuation center in West LA and the subsequent disaster recovery center in Westwood. these residents, their struggles are all of our struggles as we all, and you as elected officials, tackle the availability of homeowners insurance, navigating the permitting process, the hardening of homes, and faith in fuels management. And while I discuss our progress today, I want to emphasize that our work is not finished, and we have a responsibility to ensure that this level of destruction does not happen again. To assist with wildfire recovery, we passed legislation that allowed homeowners who lost their homes to defer mortgage payments. I was also able to secure $4 million that went directly to our local governments, and this was Malibu, LA, and LA County to speed up permitting for rebuilding. And also, we secured funding to help maintain fire breaks in our cherished public open spaces. With the ongoing fight for a fight against gun violence, pivoting a little bit, I worked with Ventura County DA Eric Nasarenko to pass a law that allowed DAs to file gun violence restraining orders, and this has been a really important tool that I've been working on ever since the borderline shooting. This important tool helps keep guns out of the hands of people who may be a threat to the public or themselves. And then with a major accomplishment for our state, California will continue to lead the way on the fight against climate change. If we're successful here at home, we can show the rest of the country and the world what is possible. My bill, AB 1207, reauthorized the state's landmark climate program through 2045. I focused on making sure that the program was robust and that it wouldn't be a burden to our economy or consumers' pocketbooks. And if the PUC gets it right, which I'm sure all of you know is always a question mark, all of your electric bills should go down by as much as 30% during the summer months, because with the program, when we renewed the program, we made adjustments that will lower the rates of electricity during the summer. As I told my colleagues in the legislature, I've watched the wildfires decimate parts of Ventura and LA County during my terms, and the cost of climate inaction is immeasurable. So we were very happy that we were able to pass that at the very last minute of session. And along the lines of fires, we still have significant work to do in two areas that are impacting everybody. And we've heard especially from Calabasas, Calabasas and Moore Park, actually, public safety power shutoffs, and the cost and availability of homeowners insurance for PSPSs. Everybody can understand the need for power to go out during high fire events, but we need to improve the communication. It's unacceptable that our residents are kept in the dark, both literally and figuratively. This last year, I wrote a letter to the PUC to get more involved in the oversight of these events and how they are negatively impacting our community. We're also going to be calling Edison into my office in the next couple of weeks to demand answers on how they're going to improve in the coming months and years. And on homeowners insurance, we've been pressuring the insurance commissioner to do more to assure residents that they can get insurance. As most of you know, we've held multiple town halls on the topic, and we'll continue to keep the district up to date on developments. And on the topic of town halls, our district schedule has been just as busy. We've hosted events almost every month this year to get out into our community and interact with our neighbors. We held 4 sidewalk sessions this year so far, giving the opportunity for direct conversations with constituents. We've held town halls ranging from topics such as ICE activity in our district, wildfire preparedness, and insurance. And this month we held our first ever Malibu Day of Service. We had over 300 volunteers for a dozen service projects to support local nonprofits of Malibu and Palisades. Projects included beach cleanup, friendship bracelets, and backpacks for local students. We also partnered with Thousand Oaks Police Department in our inaugural year disability fair, and we just signed up to do that again. Just for all of you, this was, I think, our most popular event ever, for the first time event ever. There were not enough parking spaces, and parents of disabled young people and even adults often find that they are very isolated. And this was just such a positive event, and it allowed people to see all the resources that are available to the disabled. So I hope when we do this next year with TOPD, that all the surrounding city councils help advertise it, because it was just so positive. We had parents, and Nancy can attest, we had parents that came crying to us saying that this was so meaningful to be able to have other disabled adults and children in one place, and everybody just had a really positive experience. Through casework, we have been tracking how much we are returning to constituents in benefits, and we just returned over $1 million. And I'd encourage anyone that has issues with state agencies to call my DO for assistance, because we really have incredible staff working on that. And in closing, I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish this year, but recognize, as always, there's more work to be done. We are full steam ahead, and I'm just grateful for the partnership that we have with all of you. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And I would like to follow up on what you said about the Disabilities Fair, because I went and I agree with you. It was wonderful. And because of the contacts I made there for our Mayor's Art Show next month in November, we're featuring artists with disabilities. And I connected with several organizations at your fair.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. We would love to get information on that and pass it on to our police chief too. That is outstanding.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful day. So thank you for doing that. And before anybody else gets a question in, I have one for you. I think you're probably aware that the Zone Zero Board of Forestry Committee came up with new proposals yesterday. Are you aware of that?
I have, we've been following pretty closely, but not that closely. I don't know what they came up with.
Okay, so what they've come up with now at the moment is that they're proposing options to be decided upon. And one of the options for vegetation, I would ask you to look at option number 4, which says well-maintained plants allowed. Allow plants in pots and other vegetation in Zone 0, but prohibits dead or dying plants, needles, leaves, weeds, and combustible mulches, which is the first time they've even considered this. And then for trees, option 2 says well-maintained trees allowed, branches must be 10 feet from chimneys. And it doesn't say any other restrictions for trees. So option 4 for vegetation and option 2 for trees, if you could put in a plug with the committee for us, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, and Nancy, hopefully you're taking notes on that, of course.
Nancy, I'll email it to you.
Yeah, please do that. And we have, obviously for as long as I've represented this area the last 3 years, insurance has been just the number one issue. But after the fire, Zone 0, we have heard so much from Calabasas and Brentwood, all those areas right close to the fire, about the need for flexibility. There was a bill which I did not vote for the first time, but the second time I did, the Isaac Bryan bill, where we put in a line about flexibility, because that was what most of our constituents were asking for. So no, I know the fire folks want no flexibility, and all the constituents would like some flexibility, but we think that the local fire departments are the ones that are the best experts on what you can do to make your homes safer. And not a board that is, where most of the people are living up north. So we're very happy that in the previous iteration, they had already had talked about some flexibility. The real concern I have is, yes, of course, it would be it would be safer if you did just nothing for 0 to 5. we would, as elected officials, have war on our hands if we were going to try to tell all our constituents, regardless of the shape of their plot or how their house is facing, if there was no flexibility at all. Yes, that might reduce the risk by 80%, but we really have to be realistic. And these changes are almost more generational. It just cannot be um, cannot all be done right away. We frankly, if our firefighters went to homes in certain areas, I would worry for their lives if they were not working with the homeowner as opposed to imposing very stringent requirements on each homeowner. So I'm happy to see that there is some flexibility. It happens that on the Monday flight up to Sacramento, I sit with one of the guys on the board. And so I'm constantly saying to him, you have no idea what we as elected officials are seeing on the ground. And we have to move toward much safer homes and be aware of what our responsibility is, but we cannot just, force homeowners to, and be very rigid about
Yes.
what we're doing. So anyway, that was my soapbox. So
Great, thank you. Yes, and a couple of the members are coming down this week to look at various neighborhoods in and around LA.
yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what we asked them to do. And Nancy has been, very active in listening to what homeowners have to say. But I said, you don't know what it looks like in Ventura County or some of the outlying areas and of LA County, and you really have to see it and decide, how do we make this home much safer, but not, we can't be really rigid because and it's not only that the homeowners would be upset about losing all their greenery, it's also people just can't afford to do it that quickly. So anyway, that's
Good. All right, I'll forward it to Nancy. Anybody else like any questions for Jackie or comments?
I just wanted to say thank you for your help on the Edison situation.
yeah, I'm sorry that you got it is like to have those almost weekly blackouts is just really terrible and with no explanation except for, oh, it was an animal. It doesn't even seem that most time there's a good explanation. So I understand how frustrating it is for you because you're the one that's really directly dealing with, just like Marianne, you're directly dealing with constituents and we are just as frustrated as you are, but we have less people calling us.
And I just shout out to Stephanie, who's on the line. She's been very helpful to us for the first time from SC. So I do want to show my appreciation to Stephanie and then Nancy also in your office for receiving all my emails and complaints on this. So I appreciate the attention to this.
Yeah, and I have talked to obviously I have ongoing talks with the folks at Edison, the Sacramento folks, and we're I think there were definitely a lot of issues, well, a year ago, and I think they're really trying to grapple with, how do we move forward and deal with what is a very difficult situation. We can't, obviously the lights have to go out, but I think that if there is really a good communication protocol set up, that it really tamps down the amount of anger from our constituents.
And just last thing to reiterate, we're not complaining about the PSPS. Ours are all the extra outages regarding the critters and the unknowns that we just had 3 outages within the last few weeks. So thank you for the help on this.
Does
May I
anybody
highlight
else?
something?
Yes, go ahead, Stephanie.
Thank you. So I am working on a presentation that will be a town hall. We're working with the city of Calabasas. We're hoping that it'll be the end of November, where we will be going over a bit more information about outages. It'll be more heavily on talking about infrastructure maintenance, as well as prevention. And there will be a little bit of component on PSPS to talk about. We will also, I want to highlight that one of the wildfire mitigations, Fast Curve 3.0, is one of the reasons why we're we're feeling a bit more of the outages where you might not have before. So it is a mitigation that elevates and increases outages that we can talk about more. And then I also just wanted to elevate that, right now hardening our grid is the #1 thing we can do. And the targeted underground program for this Las Virgenes-Malibu community is really at risk right now because of a permit provision that says that we have to remove poles within 180 days of energizing. And we've received from our telco folks that, we can't remove poles because we share the poles. So what we can do is remove the poles that we own, top the poles, and then give that infrastructure over. But with the permit provision in place, we have stopped the underground programming in Malibu and the surrounding areas until we get the provision modified by the county and the city of Malibu. So it's a really urgent issue that we're trying to address because we want to get those miles in, which would drastically help with reducing PSPS and fast curve. Thank you.
And Stephanie, I would say if I haven't heard about this at all, and it is like if there's anything we can do to remedy the situation, please get a hold of us as soon as possible. Obviously, we do have connections in many of these jurisdictions. The one other thing that we've been working with Edison on, and Stephanie, I'm not sure if you're aware, is that our residents, at least in the Ventura County portion, are completely unaware of what circuit they're on and when the circuits are off. And this is specifically during PSPSs. So the letter to the PUC asks that that Edison is more transparent on what circuits people are on. And we'd also like to know at what point, does the undergrounding lead to less PSPSs? And at what point is there consideration to bifurcate some of these circuits so you don't have, something happening in Simi that turns off Moore Park or something that happens in Agoura that turns off Calabasas. So that's the type of long-term transparency we would really like to see. And Ventura County has an excellent website during PSPS events that nobody knows about because they're all going to the Edison site. So we have brought that up to the Edison folk, but I think it's really important that we all work together because, there's incredible frustration from the constituents. But anything we can do to help on that.
Thank you. It's an honor to serve this community, and I'll share some follow-up information. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Marianne, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to touch on the issue with Edison and the telecoms. And my stance on that would be that I think it'd be great if the state and the PUC could come up with some language to ensure that these different companies are required to work together to solve these issues so that when undergrounding occurs, it's already mandated that everybody understands that they will go underground with all their services instead of creating this fight between the different companies. If we had some legislation or some direction from the PUC so that we could just see a teamwork approach between the companies to get this undergrounding completed. I think that would be a really positive step.
100%. I don't understand what the conflict has been where you're going through the effort of Edison undergrounding and then you still have the broadband cable phone services that continue to be in the pool. So maybe it does require legislation. Definitely agree with that. I did neglect to mention, and we are going to be, hopefully everybody knows about our public safety fair that we're going to be having in Calabasas. And we just had it in TO, had a great number of vendors there, but it would be, it is good to let your constituents know because so many people have questions on fire. And I think Edison is coming again, right, Nancy? Yeah. Fire and hardening.
What's the date? What's the date of that?
November 1st.
November 1st.
No.
And I will send you Terry a flyer so you can get it out to everybody when I get into the office.
And I think that your LA sheriff will be there, right? Sheriff?
Yes.
Yes, I'll be there.
He's going to be there talking with you.
Oh,
Lovely. Any other questions for Jackie? All right, Jackie, thank you so much for coming to visit with us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event.
all right. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye. All right, we're now moving on to Wildfire Solutions California, and the speaker will be Steve Frisch, who's president of the Sierra Business Council.
Well,
Steve?
good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting us this morning. I'm joined today by my colleague, Brooke Rose, who is our coalition coordinator. It's a shame that Assembly Member Irwin dropped off because I wanted to express to her how grateful I am to her for her leadership, particularly on reauthorizing the Cap and Invest program and on electricity affordability. But I'm here today to talk a little bit about this new statewide coalition that actually has one very simple goal, which is to scale up funding for wildfire resilience and drive that money down to the local community level so that you have the resources that you need to actually do the work that needs to be done. California spends about $4.7 billion a year just through CAL FIRE for emergency response. That does not include local emergency response costs, but we spend $500 million a year on wildfire resilience. And our coalition is focused not on reducing emergency response, but increasing resources for wildfire resilience that can be brought down to the local community level. Independent research has shown that to implement the state's wildfire goals that are being established through the California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Action Plan will cost roughly $2.5 to $3 billion a year, every year for at least the next 10 years. And we're currently, as I said, spending about $500 million a year. And, the state has this really interesting process for analyzing wildfire risk, identifying mitigation actions, and they've actually done a really, really good job on identifying the things that we can do to reduce the scale and the intensity of wildfire, particularly in that wildland-urban interface area. So they've put out some very aggressive goals, like 1.5 to 2 million acres a year of treatment for vegetation. And they've put out some really interesting kind of ideas around increasing defensible space, investing in community hardening, investing in home hardening. But we don't really have a concomitant funding strategy to actually support that effort. And that's what this coalition is really focused on, is building that concomitant funding strategy to scale up financial resources for wildfire mitigation. I don't have to remind you guys how high the stakes are. Your communities were more affected in the last year by wildfire than just about any communities in California. Wildfire costs Californians about $117 billion a year. It leads to incredible economic dislocation, which you recently experienced, but dozens of other communities across California have experienced over the last 10 years. It's a huge public health challenge with roughly 7,000 to 10,000 Californians a year dying now from wildfire smoke exposure. New research shows that wildfire smoke is about 10 times more dangerous to human health than automobile emissions and diesel emissions. So we have this growing problem of public health and its relationship to wildfire in California. And we also have this issue of essentially the disruption to communities and to our economies that is increasing as time goes on. California's fifth climate assessment is being conducted right now. Based on all of the data and research in that fifth climate assessment, the problem in California around wildfires is actually going to increase over the next 75 years. We are likely to see by 2100 about 3 times more wildfire than we are currently seeing in the state of California. So the case that we're making is that we need to start investing essentially in mitigation in order to reduce the risk and in order to reduce the economic dislocation in the future. So I put a link to our website up on the page. We are a statewide coalition. It's really built around this concept of bringing together a multi-sector and fully statewide geographic representation, supporting scaling up wildfire resilience. We have a ton of business members in our coalition, including Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation, Bay Area Council. We have community foundations, we have labor organizations, we have environmental and public health organizations all working together to try to make the case that we should gradually scale up wildfire mitigation funding. And we see the funding sources in the future as potentially coming, one, from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which was recently reauthorized with Assemblymember Irwin's legislation. Some of it probably coming from the state general fund, some of that funding coming with increased leveraged funding at the federal level. Ironically, the current administration, even though they have been difficult in some areas, has maintained their commitment for scaling up federal funding for their wildfire commitment in California. And some of that funding coming from propositions like Proposition 4 that is getting out on the ground now, and from local measures in order to address wildfire risk. So our ask to you today is to take a look at our information, to participate in our coalition. It has no cost. It's kind of a low bar. What we're really asking coalition members to do is participate, amplify our message, communicate to their constituents about the importance of scaling up wildfire mitigation funding, and then in the future, working together on sharing data and information around best practices and science to help guide local communities in a way that they can make their investments really count on reducing risk in their communities. So with that, I'll stop and open it up to any questions. Oh, I might note that your agenda on pages 9 and 10 has a little bit more information and our contact information in it.
Thank you so much, Steve. Does anybody have any questions? None? No one? Okay,
Steve?
well,
Penny, if I could, Steve,
yes.
I know that you're not, that there's no cost to join the coalition now, but obviously, you're trying to gear up for a major effort in doing like a state bond or some sort of assessment or something like that. So where's the funding from that going to come from?
So our current funding, we have a budget for the next 2.5 years, which is roughly $1.9 million. And some of that funding has come from private donors. Some of that funding came from the Moore Foundation. Some of that funding is coming from the League of California Community Foundation. So many community foundations have supported our effort. And we have our partnership includes not just the Sierra Business Council on managing and fundraising for this, but also the Nature Conservancy and early support from the Resources Legacy Fund in Sacramento. So we feel like we can do a pretty good job of fundraising for a sustained effort, like beyond the first 2 to 3 years. We have a track record of raising money from the philanthropic community to support efforts like this.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
So Steve, hi, Nancy from Assemblymember Irwin's office. Are you just raising the money, or are you thinking legislation, or as Terry said, a bill? What's the next steps besides raising funds?
So this is definitely an advocacy campaign, Nancy, right? So the immediate next step is that we will be in the field with a poll in November, testing wildfire funding measures, also testing messages and messengers, and Californians' appetite for scaling up funding. We were very active in the last session in supporting the reauthorization of cap and invest and in the greenhouse gas, maintaining the greenhouse gas reduction fund and the $200 million per year for wildfire resilience that comes from the greenhouse gas reduction fund. So we are anticipating that we will be weighing in on specific legislation to support this effort in 2026 and beyond. And if in the future that leads to some kind of electoral or ballot measure, that very well might be the case, but we're not making that assumption yet. We're working with our coalition members to look at all of the options and then kind of work through what's the best way to scale up to that number.
Thank you.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you so much, Steve, for your presentation. We look
Thank
forward.
you. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you might have.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have now moved on to the Executive Director's report. Terry?
Thank you, Penny. A few things I'd like to update the governing board on. We were finally successful in getting the fiber project bid posted last week. And in addition to having it posted on Planet Bids through the city of Agoura Hills, which I really appreciate Charmaine's efforts and her staff in assisting us in that process. But we also posted a link to it on our COG website. And again, I appreciate Calabasas and Ani's assistance with the website these days. She's doing a really great job. And I just want to thank Kindon and the city of Calabasas for that in-kind support for the COG. And we, as I mentioned in my executive director's report, we're not going to be able to get the bid opened and in time to present at the COG meeting in November. I just think that that's going to be too tight. So I will be discussing with Penny, and obviously we'll be checking with the governing board to see if it would be better to have a short special meeting in like early December to award a contract, or depending, it might be better to wait until after the first of the year and award it at the January COG meeting. But it's just kind of hard to tell at this point, but I will have more information as we go through this process, and we'll certainly keep you updated, and especially at the November meeting, provide a more extensive update. I was very pleased moving on to the LA County COG President's meeting. It was really great to have such a strong turnout from our COG at that meeting. Originally, it was just envisioned as the COG presidents with the executive directors, but the more the COG executive directors discussed it, we thought, having additional board members or people from our COG region at the meeting. And I was very pleased with the turnout that we had following the league LA division luncheon, and all of the COGs were represented. And we had a really good discussion about the possibility of forming kind of an informal group, if you will, that would meet on a regular basis and discuss how the COGs can support each other. One of the issues that I had previously raised with my COG executive director colleagues that was briefly discussed at the meeting was mutual support on legislation. If you recall, on AB 470, this past legislative session, I reached out to my COG colleagues about getting their support, and they said, didn't really affect them, and so they didn't want to get involved. So we had a good discussion about how we could come up with some way to mutually support each other in that effort. And I think that would be a very good opportunity to increase the clout of the LA County COGs. So this is just a first step, and but it's an exciting next step in the COGs working together to increase our voice and our clout in not only in the region but in LA County and beyond. So that's very good. I did with discussion with President Sylvester, I arranged for the COG to hold a tour, have a tour, I should say, of the Annenberg Wildlife Crossing following the November meeting, which will be in person at Agoura Hills like last time. And now that the wildlife crossing has advanced so much further than when we were there a year and a half ago, we thought that it would be a good idea and a good opportunity for the governing board to have that tour. So that's going to follow our November meeting that, as I said, will be in person. And then let's see, our Measure M funding was submitted to the Metro Board, and it's expected to be approved by the Metro Board either in January or February, which is the usual case. And also of note, in working with Supervisor Horvath's Transportation Deputy Justin Ornstein, it was agreed that Supervisor Horvath would not program her the $2 million in Measure M funds for the 26-27 fiscal year, which is what the governing board had approved. And they're going to carry that over and look at other options when we go through this process again next summer and in the fall. So I wanted to update you on that. Also, I plan to attend the 88 for 28 committee meeting on October 30th. It's down at the County Hall of Administration. If you recall, originally that group was set up for the city managers, but then there was subsequent discussion in the past couple of months about having the COG executive directors also participate in that. So I will be participating in that. I've also been working with La Casa, and we're recommending postponing allocating our Measure A and SB 6792 funding until what La Casa is proposing to do is to stand up a website that would allow the smaller COGs and smaller cities to participate at a regional level with funding, where, for example, on the La Casa website, they could have a renter assistance box, and you put in your city, and then it shows you how much funding would be available. So instead of all of that being on the COG to stand up a program that would allow people to participate if they're in need for that type of assistance, this would be something that would be put together by La Casa with the support of the COGs and the interaction. So I think that would be a good partnership rather than us trying to wade into this at this point when we really don't have a lot of structure and resources to put together something that's significant. So I'll continue to keep you posted on that and updated. And if you have any input in the meantime, I'm certainly willing to, rethink this, but this seems to be, with La Casa's staff support and recommendation, the best way to go at this point for the COG, since our resources are not really significant when it comes to implementing the kind of programs that they're visioning at a countywide level. And then lastly, I'd like to mention that I had further discussions with the Metro Board about the Metro TAC, and Metro has agreed if one of our cities is interested in having a staff member from Public Works participate as our representative to the Metro TAC, they would be willing to designate whichever city hall that is as one of the teleconferencing centers. And that person would not have to drive to LA or downtown LA to Metro for the meeting. So I'm still working on that. I've had a couple of informal discussions with Rob DeBow in Malibu and a couple other folks. So I'll keep you posted on that. Hopefully by November, we'll be able to appoint somebody. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Terry. Any questions for Terry? Seeing none, we'll move on to our city updates. Nate?
Good morning, honorable board members. Just want to first start with a thank you to the fire department and Megan for running the CERT program. We've been, I think we're in week 3 of it, and it's kind of a little bit of a new program. We've heard a lot of great feedback, so I just want to offer a thank you to the fire department and all those participating. For us, coming off the heels of our successful race Adobe Days, we are now moving into our preparation for our State of the City. And Chair Sylvester mentioned it earlier. It will be November 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. And she will be highlighting artists with disabilities. It's going to be, we try to make it fun. We've tried to go with the flow and get the public more involved. And so it'll be a fun theme. I won't give too much away, but kind of just a movie theme along with Penny Sylvester's background. And then also, I think all the cities received notification that the school district has asked us to look into banning the use or sale of kratom. And we are looking into that, speaking to legal. I will be speaking to Captain Carr to get the sheriff's input. And I'm glad to share that with our partner cities on that. We can work together in deciding whether that's something we move forward to not. But I was asked to make sure we brought that up. And then the final thing is for wildlife crossing, the traffic impacts. We'll have closures in our city, although it's a Caltrans project. And we've been trying to get that communication out through our social media and our website. So if any of you need information on that or the public does, please feel free to send them those ways. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chair Sylvester if there's anything else.
No, thank you. I think you've covered everything. I'd just like to second what you said about looking into the banning of the sale of kratom, because I know our school district, and I'm sure Malibu's as well, is concerned about the rise in the use of that, and it has already caused deaths. So if anything we can do to help would be good. So thank you. Kindon.
Good morning, everybody. It was wonderful to see so many of you at Cal Cities a couple weeks ago. It was a great conference, and it was nice to just connect in that forum. A couple of things. We've just finished this last weekend our Pumpkin Festival. It was a great event. We had about 4,000 attendees, a little bit less than in previous years. We think it had to do with other communities having events in the area, but still a wonderful turnout. We're working on objective design standards. We've held several community meetings and happy to see participation from the public on that. That's a tough process. Those of you of cities who've already gone through that, it's tricky and difficult, but it's also very important to have those conversations as we move forward with potential development projects. And then finally, we recently held an EOC training. We appreciate LA County Fire and LA County Sheriffs participating in that, and also our partners with Hidden Hills. We were able to have a couple representatives from Hidden Hills for that all-day training, and we simulated the Kenneth Fire again and looked at that as what that might do to our community as more of an extended fire. And so always mindful of that and thinking ahead as we plan for this current fire season and future years. But with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Weintraub for any other updates.
I think you covered it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Gloria. Are you with us, Gloria? Are you frozen?
Yeah, it looks like she's frozen. So I'll take over until that gets resolved, whatever the technical issue is. So,
Okay.
oh yeah, you're there. Okay, you're there. Okay, sorry.
Of course, it went off right on time. I'm sorry. Did you want to go?
Oh, you go first, and then I'll add it, at the end.
I just want to thank everyone who joined us at our this weekend event, a fiesta. Again, it was a great success this year. A special thank you to those who participated in our parade in the morning and who joined us at our carnival. Also, thank you, Sheriff's Department and Fire Department for joining us. Special thank you to Captain Carr, who served as our float judge. I'm sure there was no pressure there. You enjoyed it very much. So thank you for doing that. Believe it or not, we're already getting ready for next year's event. It's the city's 65th birthday, and so we're very excited. We're going to have new events and new surprises for everyone who joins us. So mark your calendars for October 17th. We already have a date. And with that, thank you, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Gold.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gloria. I also wanted to thank the city of Calabasas and the city of Westlake who participated in our morning parade. And special thanks to those who kept with the theme and dressed up in tie-dye because our theme was Woodstock. So the parade was a lot of fun, and the carnival in the evening as well. So thank you all for participating. And again, thank you for the captain for joining us and being the judge. I know it was a difficult job for you because there were so many great floats this year. I also wanted to welcome Gloria, even though she's been with us for over a year, but now it's official. She's our new city manager. So, I'm so happy. Welcome, Gloria. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Looking forward to continue working with you today.
Thank you, Hidden Hills. Candice for Malibu.
Hi, good morning, all. Thank you, honorable board members. Malibu, we've been quite busy. We continue to work diligently on our number one priority of rebuilding and recovering. And we are working hard to streamline the rebuilding process for those impacted by the fires. We just launched an AI tool, ArchaStar, in our plan check platform. And we continue to have rebuild community meetings and also meet with zone captains from each area of Malibu to streamline the rebuild policies and processes so that we can get our families back in their homes. Sadly, last week we recognized the death of 4 young women from Pepperdine who were hit tragically by a speeding car. And, we continue to work on our safety on PCH with the impending installation and activation of speed cameras. And we are really grateful to Assembly Member Irwin and State Senator Ben Allen on the most recent governor's order that came down to help us reduce the speed limits on PCH. So we're working very closely with Caltrans on really reducing speeds and increasing safety for all of our residents and visitors who come to Malibu. We also are continuing to move forward with an expansive hiring push. I'm glad to say we just hired a new deputy city manager, and we have an interim assistant city manager coming on board next month. And we continue our search for a city manager, permanent city manager. So if you know some good candidates, please let us know. And I really look forward to continue working with our fire safety liaisons here in Malibu, who are giving free wildfire assessments to all residents. We are very actively in fire mitigation season and working throughout Malibu. It's one of our top priorities. We've been able to secure part-time fire liaisons that used to be with the fire department. And we are definitely giving rise to a number of fire-wise communities working with these fire liaisons. So everyone is working hard to ensure our fire mitigation efforts here in the city. So those are probably some of the highlights. Mayor Riggins, I pass it to you for anything else.
Thank you. And I just wanted to continue to thank Interim City Manager Bond for her leadership during this transitional time that we've been going on. She's been instrumental in helping us continue to move forward on rebuilding and, as she said, the fire mitigation and the issues that we're having with Caltrans. And just want to thank the staff And again, just broadcast it out to any of your communities that maybe some of our residents have landed in temporarily, to reach out to the Rebuild Center about getting rebuilt. Streamlining efforts, I think, are being very positive, and it seems like we're having an announcement of 2 or 3 permits a week being issued right now. So it's really exciting to start seeing some activity in the burn area of a positive manner that is, you know, houses being rebuilt and seeing families come back to our community. So thank you for all your support.
Thank you so much. Rob.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I know that Councilmember Pearl needs to jump off for another commitment here in a minute. So I don't know, Ray, if you had anything to add, I'll just know you're good. Okay. Well, a couple updates from Westlake Village, and we had our city event as well. I know many of you did. Ours is called City Celebration. It was October 11th. And we had more people than we've had in probably 3 or 4 years. It was really, really wonderful. Great event. So we're happy about that. Also, in other events, we participated in the Be Prepared Safety Fair in Thousand Oaks over the weekend that Assemblymember Irwin helped organize. So we're happy to do that. We also had our own public safety fair in September up at our community park, which was also really well attended. We had a Touch a Truck event that I think brought out a lot of families. And we look forward to participating in the Calabasas Safety Fair in a few weeks. We also attended the Cal Cities Conference. It's great to see many of you there and just connect with colleagues around California. Just a couple of other things. Our Civic Center Courtyard project is going to get underway under construction here this week. It starts, including our Veterans Honor Sculpture that's designed and in fabrication. So early in 2026, we look forward to unveiling that new courtyard space for events and other gatherings. And lastly, our 2035 strategic plan is progressing very well. Right now, we have a community survey that's out in the field, and next week we have an open house for the general public to come and participate and share what they love about the city and what they're concerned about. So that's on the 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. here at the Civic Center. If any of you are interested, you're welcome to come and join us. So that's what I had to add, and then just Ray and Kelly, if you have anything more.
I'm good. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. All right. We're now moving on to public safety, legislative and agency partner updates. And we will start with our very own Captain Dustin Carr. Are you there, Dustin?
Yeah, yes, I am. I'm walking. Are you there?
Yes, we can hear you. Well, you've muted
All
yourself.
right, I apologize. I'm walking into a staff meeting right now, so I'm literally on my feet right now trying to find an entrance to a building. So please bear with me. So I wanted to say I had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time at everybody's various events. Ray's Adobe's Days was great. So was the Fiesta Parade. I'm nice and tan now. And so thank you for inviting me to everything. I did want to speak on a more kind of more serious topic, and that's the hate incidents. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. It put me on there we go. It thinks I'm driving for some reason. That's what's going on with this. It's on a drive safe mode. So I wanted to speak about hate incidents because although we're not seeing like a huge uptick and stuff, there were some concerning things, that occurred at schools and things like that. And so a more recent incident occurred at a local high school. And while I'm not going to get into the details of it, it involves youth and things like that. What I wanted to say is while the school did a lot of responsive stuff, I did meet with my J team. And one of the things that came about it was, utilizing some of our local resources to help educate the kids better and to realize these things aren't jokes and that they're serious. So the Museum of Tolerance was one of the things that came up and I was reminded of it because in the academy we go through the Museum of Tolerance and get a lot of good education from there. So the Museum of Tolerance agreed to allow the perpetrators of that incident to go over there and get educated on exactly what they were doing and what it means and why it's such a terrible thing to take part in. But they also agreed to come out and speak to the school as a whole. So, while this was a very negative incident, my hopes are that something positive comes from it. So that was one thing that I did want to speak on, and that we're in a kind of a very interesting world right now, and that I want to make sure that everybody knows the sheriff's department is there for them, but we're also trying to think outside the box to find solutions so that hopefully this ends with our youth and doesn't continue on in the future. And then as far as events are concerned, on the 15th, our art competition winners all came to the station. We were able to give them their awards and everything. We had a really good turnout for that. So we're gonna in the very near future have all those pieces of artwork put on our gallery wall. That was a wonderful event. And then on next Monday, we're having 8 Malibu Lost Hill Station deputies honored at the Peace Officer Awards down at USC. So, and their awards are surrounding their traffic safety efforts. So that's a very positive thing. That's a very large amount from one station to be honored. So one of our deputies, Fitzpatrick, I think last year took over 100 DUIs. So really, really great stuff. And then November 1st, I'll be at the safety fair, and then we're going to start putting out our social media holiday safety campaigns very soon. So I wanted to thank everybody again for all the great events. Coffee with the Cop in Westlake was awesome too. That memorial was for the 4 young women that tragically died 2 years ago on PCH. That was very touching, and I think Damien did a great job bringing everybody together to draw awareness to that as well. So I'll leave you with that, and if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Captain Carr? Seeing none, I hope your meeting goes well, and I hope you can find it.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day today.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from, I don't think we have a rep from the fire department today, do we? Don't see any. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to move on to Daniel. Daniel, before I start, I'm going to be sending you, and also Nick, I see from Ben Allen's office, I'm going to both send you the new updated Zone Zero, because we would like support from both of your representatives too, in support of the local choices. Okay, so Daniel, you're up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Vicente. I'm here on behalf of LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office. I'm our Las Virgenes and Topanga Field Deputy. So just a few updates coming out of our office. Some of you may have seen that Supervisor Horvath, in partnership with Supervisor Janice Hahn, declared a state of emergency here in Los Angeles County on immigration. So right now we have ICE raids happening throughout our community. For those of you who may not be aware, our district covers nearly the entirety of the San Fernando Valley, and our community has been the most targeted one in the country as far as these immigration raids go. So the supervisor has declared a state of emergency under her authority with Los Angeles County. So what that will allow the county to do is allocate funding quicker, and be able to take swifter action to get support to our communities. The board has also, in lockstep with that, is in the process, of setting up a $30 million rental relief program for immigrant communities as well as fire impacted communities who were impacted by the Eaton and Palisades fires earlier this year. So what that will do is essentially folks will be able to apply through Department of Economic Opportunity for rental relief, and their landlord will receive a check so that they don't fall behind. And folks can receive up to, I believe it is $15,000 of support or 6 months, whichever one is greater. And that will be set up probably before December. They are working on that right now. Other news coming out of the board is that the supervisor, in partnership with Supervisor Catherine Barger, introduced a motion to make the Office of Emergency Management under the county, is to set that up into its own independent department. So right now, that department is actually based under the CEO's department. Unfortunately, the way that our office sees it is it has made a lot of the decision-making powers kind of slow down during an emergency. So we think having that department as its own independent department will give them a little more expediency in being able to address these emergencies, and just have more general independence when emergencies occur. If any of you know of any nonprofits who may have one-time funding projects or any sponsorships for any other nonprofits for events that they have coming up in the next several months, our grant application process has changed. So it used to be that we accepted those year-round kind of all the time, and we would just review those. However, that process has changed. So now we only have our application open, believe it is 3 times a year right now. So we are in one of those windows where it is open right now. So that will be so our application will be open until the 31st of this month. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat for folks to see. So we are in cycle 3 right now, which is the first one that we have done because we just started this, which means that you will receive an answer for your grant application by November 15th. So it's a lot more of an expedient process, and though, it does take a little bit of reminding, I will be around to make sure that I'm reminding folks when those windows are open, but you can also check our website as well. So that will close on the 31st. So any events, anything like that, or funding that you need before February of next year, I would highly recommend filling that out right now. The next cycle will not open until January 1st. We do have our safety fair that we're doing in partnership with Assemblymember Irwin's office. Thank you, Nancy, for working very closely and really leading the efforts on that, especially since you've been working on the Thousand Oaks one too. So I know it's been a heavy pull. So thank you for your partnership on that one. Look forward to seeing folks out there. It'll be November 1st. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of that, Nancy, but I think that's correct. Also, our Calabasas office is in the process of moving right now. By the time we have our next COG meeting, we should be at our new location, but that's kind of subject to change, as you guys know. We are still going to be in Calabasas, but we will be at the new one-stop center, which is going to be at, it's just right across the street from the Lost Hill Sheriff Station. So all the county stuff will kind of be in the same area now. So this office will be closing here in the next month or so. So if you do need county services, please be sure to remind your residents if they need the one-stop center, if they need to stop at our office. Our locations are moving, and we will obviously be pushing that out to the community as well. That's pretty much all I've got right now, but happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Daniel. I think, Kelly, did you have a question you wanted to? You're muted.
My request is to agendize the issue of the men's central jail closing, which is on the supervisor's agenda today. So, but that can do that at the end when we ask for new agenda items.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead, Anika.
I have a comment to Danielle. I'm very, very concerned about the proposed closure of the men's central jail without a modern and operational replacement in place first. while I'll agree with reform and also change is needed, I just feel this is going to be detrimental to public safety without a replacement, an operational replacement facility in place first. So, and I think we all know that this is on the Board of Supervisors agenda today, and I did submit an opposed comment. I think it's interesting for us to look up what other officials are saying about this agenda item. And I look forward to hearing the discussion today.
Yeah. And let me just speak on that too, because I know that we've received outreach to that, and there's some misinformation going out that this is somehow that we own this or something. The Board of Supervisors in 2021, before Supervisor Horvath even announced she was running for the Board of Supervisors, voted to close Men's Central Jail, and we are actually under a federal order to do so. So I understand that there are concerns with the lack of a plan around that. However, the board continues to the board, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, everybody involved keeps kind of kicking the can down the road. So we are continuously working with our partners to be sure that we have a clear plan and strategic plan in place to make sure that it's not closed without something there. So we appreciate the outreach on that, but this is one of those updates that they do every now and then that's happening today, where they hear on what the status of that is, and I'm sure we'll have more news coming out about that. But I appreciate the input on that. If you do want to agendize it, please let me know, and I can have our Justice Deputy make himself available to speak with you, and also see if we can get some people from other relevant agencies that have to do with this touching on that. But there is a strategic plan in place right now that's supposed to look over the next several years. It's not in my portfolio of expertise, so I can't speak too much on specifics or anything like that. But I will say, again, this was put in place long before we were even in office, and we are just kind of dealing with the outcome of that. The supervisor's view is that yes, Men's Central Jail does have to close because it has to. There's no option around that. But we agree that there does need to be a strategic plan in place, and we look forward to our partners continuing to work with us on that and making sure that they are collaborative in nature.
Thank you, Daniel. Kelly.
A quick comment. I agree with everything that Aniko said, and thank you, Daniel, for your information. I don't think I've asked that the COG agendize this item for next month or, as soon as possible so we can get some more information on this. I've also asked my city manager to agendize it for us on our Public Safety Committee, so we can talk about this publicly. Just to make one additional point, our issue is not that the jail has to close. Everyone knows that, and we all agree with that. It's the plan for what is going to happen when the jail closes, which is a huge, huge issue, and how the 4,000 inmates currently in the jail, and obviously this is not going to happen in the next few years, how they are going to be dispersed throughout the jail system, which I do not think is adequate. So these are the issues that we wish to discuss, not the actual closure of the jail, which we understand is mandated and will happen. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And if I could just add, I agree with everything that Aniko and Kelly said. I also sent in comments for the meeting today, and we've asked that it be agendized at our city council meeting. And just to reaffirm, we also are not arguing that Men's Central Jail needs to close. It's just the process that is taking place. And also, how the large percentage of inmates with mental illness are going to be dealt with. And that's also something that we feel has not been made very clear. So we're just hoping for more information and a concrete plan, because and also just so you know, I think a lot of people were a little taken off guard about this agenda item today. I heard from members of our community that they wish they knew such a big issue was going to be on the agenda. So we just wanted to share that.
Understood. Thank you, council member.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you. Any other questions for Daniel?
I would just echo what the other council members and mayors have said. You know, this is a a major issue for our entire community, and I think it's something that we need to try and find the balance. I know how difficult working conditions are for the deputies in there, and then also just the dilapidated state. But we can't just move into nothing without having another plan in place. So I think it's important that that be identified first before a full closure is even discussed. So.
Of course, thank you. And I do want to echo real quick before we move on to other updates from others that agenda item 12 today, it's just a report on the progress. So this is, they're not really taking any action today. It's just going to be a report on what that is. So we actually may get more details today. So there will be no action coming out of the board on this item today. It's just one of those routine reports that the board does.
Okay,
Daniel, if I can, Penny, if you don't mind, if I can jump in quickly, I just heard my colleague who is monitoring the Board of Supervisors meeting said that item 12 is being held. Does that mean it's not going to be heard today? Is there not going to be a report?
That means it's being held for discussion today.
I see. Okay, so there are still going to be taking up. You know, I was going to wait till my time to comment on this, but I will just mention, you know, the LA County Division of Cal Cities has been trying to meet with supervisors on this topic. We do now have a meeting on the books with Supervisor Horvath next week to talk about this and many other issues. But I'll just note for everyone, this agenda item that is being heard today was originally scheduled for July the 1st. So they keep really kicking this can down the road. And we can't seem to get any answers out of the supervisor's office. So I really appreciate the COG and everybody else just staying on them about this because the information flow out of the Board of Supervisors has been difficult.
Thank you, Jeff. And just real quick, I'll check because sometimes people will say hold when they mean to say continued. So I actually haven't logged into the meeting yet. So if it was continued, then that means that they are pushing that to a future meeting. If it's held, then it means that they're holding it for discussion today. So I'll check into that and I'll look into it. So it could be either of those two, but I don't know because I've been on this meeting, so I haven't had time.
Totally agree. I know my colleague was not quite sure what it meant and didn't quite get the verbiage right. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you,
Daniel. All right, Nicholas, Senator Ben Allen's office.
Thank you, Mayor Sylvester. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. A relatively brief update from me today. So the legislature, the governor's last day to sign bills was last Monday. So all bills have pretty much been signed at this point, and we managed to get 7 of our bills through, we're happy to say. Some highlights from that were SB 663, which was our property tax relief bill, which increases the immediate access to the contents line item of insurance policies. So that goes up now to $350,000 or 60% of your content inventory, whichever comes first. So hopefully that will make it easier to access those funds in the horrible case that your house happens to burn down, which has become only more relevant in these recent years. So you'll be able to access those funds without an itemized list. Another highlight is SB 394, our water theft bill. That was one we worked with our very own Las Virgenes Water Municipal District. And so that will increase penalties for water theft from hydrants. So it's not just the cost of doing business for our contractors and farmers who have been stealing thousands of gallons of water from our hydrant system, which should be going to emergency purposes. And then finally, I wanted to announce that we are hosting our blood drive this Saturday, October 25th. So that's going to run from, I believe, 10 to 4. And it will be in Santa Monica, so slightly far afield, but we hope to see some of you there. And I will send the flyer to Terry, so hopefully we can disperse it to your constituents. And with that, that's all from me. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. We are moving on. We do not have Officer Sturgis with us today, but Terry informed me that he will be in person next month with us. So, Jeff.
Good morning again, everyone. Just wanted to update everyone on a few things that have been happening. It was obviously good to see many of you at the annual conference. I ended up having to leave that conference a bit early, came down with a cough I'm still trying to shake, but hopefully you all enjoyed it. Please reach out to me with any feedback you might have on that. But I wanted to talk about some of the legislative items. Obviously, the legislature is done. The governor is done. We did see quite a few disappointments legislatively coming out of the governor this year. Obviously, SB 79 was signed. That was no real big surprise. But we did see AB 650. AB 650, that was our sponsored bill that would have given cities an additional 6 months to work on their housing element, and it also require HCD to be really specific about what cities can do in their next draft in order to get that housing element approved. That was vetoed by the governor. SB 707 is bringing some dramatic changes to the Brown Act in July of 2026. It's going to require some translation. It's going to require public comment be virtual. All of these types of things. Cal Cities has put out an informational article, which if you missed it, I'm sending out an email a little bit later today. I'm sorry, my report didn't make it into this agenda, but I'm going to be sending out an email to the COGs and to mayors and council members and city managers with some of those details on SB 707, that Brown Act bill. I think possibly the best news out of the legislative session was that our sponsored bill SB 346 related to short-term rentals was signed by the governor. This gives cities the authority to audit those short-term rental platforms like Airbnb or VRBO, so that you can make sure that you're receiving the correct TOT, so that you know where these locations are, so you can do additional enforcement if necessary. So that at least was some good news that that bill actually is an idea that Cal Cities has been trying to get past the legislature for about 6 or 7 years. So it's a long overdue piece of legislation and now law that cities are going to be able to take advantage of to help us police some of those short-term rental sites. Penny, I want to thank you specifically for the Zone Zero information. You've been keeping me on top of things. I found the new draft regulations on the Board of Forestry's website, so I'm going to be talking with one of my colleagues about that later today. But thank you for keeping me informed on it. We already touched on the Men's Central Jail, but the LA County Division did send another letter as public comment today. I know we also will have a representative there, and I'll be switching over to monitor that as soon as my next meeting is finished. Lastly, I do just want to mention you'll get my email with a lot of information that's coming up on all of these the new laws and things that we do have a webinar on December the 1st. Where our issue area experts are going to be going over some of those pieces of legislation. So that registration link will be in that email. But lastly, if you were at the conference, hopefully you heard it. But Senator Ben Allen is one of the recipients of our Legislator of the Year award this year for his all of his work since he's been in the state legislature. So hopefully I'm working with his office to present that award to him in January when our division meets for the next time. So I just wanted to make mention of that. So that's all for me. And look out for that email that I'll be sending a little bit later today, but I'm also happy to take any questions if you have specific ones for me now too.
Thanks, Jeff. And also I see Daniel put a note in the chat that item 12 is being held for discussion today.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for Jeff? Okay. Nancy, I apologize. I sort of skipped over you. Did you have anything further to?
I did not. I think the boss woman said it all, and Daniel added to the event. A quick personal thing I just want to say, this world is really crazy right now. We all know it. I want to commend all of you that are holding these wonderful events for your community, still trying to get the information out there, still trying to show community. I think it's something that's really important, although gets harder and harder with all of the noise going on. So I wanted to say thank you for all your wonderful events.
Thank you so much, Nancy. We're now moving on to updates from legislative staff and agency partners. So, Gwen, do you have anything you would like to?
Sure. I'll give you a brief update on the fire debris acceptance here at our landfill. So just really quick, I'm Gwen Tontoco, LA County Sanitation Districts, working here at the Calabasas landfill. As of late, the fire debris acceptance has declined quite a bit. We're receiving maybe only 2 to 4 loads per day over the last week or two. To date, our total tonnage from fire debris is roughly 243,700 tons. And again, we're still following all the safety protocol. We ensure that all the fire debris loads that come in have a fire debris certificate. We are spraying down the waste still to ensure that the ash and debris don't become airborne. We are covering it still with a foot of soil. So we're following all those procedures. We are still being inspected regularly by ACCOMMOD on a weekly basis and all our other regulatory agencies. And again, the end is coming. I think a lot of the debris that's coming in is just the opt-outs. So it is starting to wrap up. If there are any other questions, I'll take them now.
Thank you. Any questions for Gwen? No, seeing none. Thank you very much, Gwen. Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. SCE has also had the pleasure of being at the fire safety events that have taken place throughout your cities, and there's a few more coming up at those events when we can bring a touch-a truck. We have when we could bring staff to specifically be there to talk to residents and address their questions. That's been also a really wonderful opportunity. I want to thank Senator Allen's office for also supporting an effort to help find and address the infrastructure improvements for traffic signals on PCH, working really hard to find solutions to work together with the City of Malibu, Caltrans, SCE supporting to look at sustainable solutions, looking at generators, solar power generators that also can address our AQMD concerns and not be gas generators out there. So when there is an outage of any kind, those lights can be sustained longer. So that's an issue that we're looking on. Maybe it'll be funded through state budget. We're looking at rebate options where SCE can support in that way, or all of us coming together once we have those budgets and, fundraising and looking for grants. So it is a top priority and something I'm heavily working on and really glad to have that partnership. Also, I did, mention earlier that hardening our grid is a top priority. As you all know, the CPUC, we asked for about 600 miles of targeted undergrounding to do in our wildfire areas. We were approved 212, I believe it was, and we have 110 within this community, maybe even more miles, but we have 110 already permitted out that would work through Calabasas down through the LA County area and into Malibu. And right now, the program is on hold. We're not putting forth more permits until we know that we can move forward. So we're working really closely with Lindsay Horvath's office, have had conversations, provided information, so we can look at if there's a modification to the permit language. Also keeping in mind that top priority that folks would like to have poles removed. So wherever the work is done, we're removing poles that we have sole ownership of, topping the others, and we'll continue to help and support in any way we can in the efforts of supporting and elevating the other utilities to either go underground or at least giving them the poles so that effort can continue. Know that that is a top priority for sure. And we hope that we can identify a way to move forward on this because we have the work ready to go, and as an agency, wherever we can most easily get in to do target undergrounding, that's where the work is going to go. So we really look to the region to elevate your support, if you are supportive of targeted undergrounding in your communities, to help us find solutions. And just thank you very much. I mentioned earlier that I'm working on a town hall. I have a goal date, but I want to make sure I have all the right subject matter experts to attend that meeting on that date. So I'm hoping, I want to thank the city of Calabasas for providing a space for us to have a town hall at the end of November to really address some of the concerns we're hearing about, as well as listen to the community. So thank you again.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions for Stephanie?
I just had a quick question. Stephanie, do we know a preliminary date? I just want to make sure it's not like right around Thanksgiving when people might be out of town.
We are looking at November 20th, which is the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
Perfect.
If you feel like that's too close, then we would probably look at the first or second week of December.
No, I think November 20th. I think a week out. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like the week of Thanksgiving.
No, I don't want that either. I want it to be a good day as well.
So when will you let us know when we can start telling people to save the date?
Yes, I am hoping today that I can get confirmation and I can get either today or tomorrow an RSVP links, so then I can build out those materials and blast it out to all of you to elevate.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, this is Candace. I was just going to also suggest to make sure that when you do have your town hall, that ensuring that the people who call in can actually participate. We had a lot of complaints afterwards that people who were not there and who were there virtually did not really have an opportunity to express their concerns or viewpoints. So I would just suggest that you doubly make sure that that's operable.
Thank you. It is a very hard dynamic, and I too want to make sure that those voices are elevated.
Oh, also, Stephanie, following up on that, is this town hall open to everyone in the COG community?
Yes, it's going to be a Las Virgenes-Malibu presentation. So we're looking at just more heavily on outage and infrastructure information. So we've pulled from all of the cities. There will be a smaller component for PSPS because we recognize that that is also a topic that folks want to talk about, but it's going to not have as much of a presence in this meeting. This is me trying to be responsive to what I'm hearing from each of the cities about the other outages as well, and trying to elevate that information and give space to that as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions for Stephanie? No, seeing none. Gabriel, do you have anything you'd like to give an update on? Gabriel, are you still with us? Maybe not.
I think he may have dropped off.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm here. I couldn't unmute. No updates.
Okay, well, thank you for everything you're doing for us.
Thank you.
All right, I think that, have I missed anyone? No, I think we've got everybody. Lovely. So now we're moving on to general comments and requests for future agenda items. And I think we all know the number one request that Kelly started with. So Daniel, I will have Terry work with you, and hopefully, at our meeting in November, you could have maybe someone come and speak with us too. So that would be great. Are there any other comments or requests? Seeing none, the future TAC meeting will be on Wednesday, November the 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. excuse me, on Zoom. And our next board meeting will be Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, 8:30 a.m. That'll be at the Agoura Hills Community Room. And then we will go on a wildlife crossing tour with Lauren Gill. So unless there's anything further, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Penny.